I'm Jeff in the morning, joined now by Jackie Leonard and Keith Hansey at Northwoods Community Realty. Good morning, you two.
Good morning.
Where's the other guy?
I'm here.
Oh.
And so is Deonn.
There. Okay.
Jeff.
Got it. Okay. Got all three of us here now this morning. All three of you here along with me. That makes four here. This new math really confuses the heck out of me these days, though. But thanks for all of you for being there on your side of things there. Northwoods Community Realty offices here in Tomahawk, and their new office. It's not brand new anymore, but relatively new over in Lake Tomahawk. And so good morning to all three of you. Jackie, we like to start off with you here. I've always learned that giving the boss first dibs is a good thing.
Yes. Good morning.
So good morning, Jackie. Tell us a little bit about the way you guys do business at Northwoods Community Realty. Then we'll get into some real specifics here.
Sure. Northwoods Community Realty, we started this company as a way to give back to the community that helped me grow my business from the beginning. And we've been, this is going on our 10th year, and we're so happy to be working this market and expanding out into other markets, so that we can do the same, in the whole Northwoods.
So, just a bit of curiosity, is it any much more different in Lake Tomahawk than it is here in Tomahawk, or doing business the same way in both communities, basically because, both up north, I guess Tomahawk is bigger than Lake Tomahawk, but generally speaking, doing business the same way, right?
It is, yeah. Lake Tomahawk is a very nice little community, very close-knit, very much like Tomahawk. It's on a little smaller scale, and they have the same, second home market that we do. I always say we probably double in the summertime, and they probably triple in the summertime.
Yeah.
So I always felt like that makes for a much more inviting community because it's a little bit of a melting pot. It's not, I'm going to call it, there's some communities that can be a little cliquey because if you're not from there or related to everybody,
yeah.
Sometimes you can feel like an outsider coming in. And I'm originally from Illinois, so I moved up here in the 70s, and I totally felt the wrath of, small town not fitting in kind of thing when I was growing up. And I always felt like Tomahawk, when my husband graduated from here, when I got to know Tomahawk a little bit more, it was always, very friendly and very welcoming. I think we get that from having such a mix of different people here with the second home market.
And in both communities, great places to live, to vacation, to raise a family, to go to school, to start a business. Both places excellent for those things. Let's get into some. I always tell people, if you're ever in Lake Tomahawk, get the beef jerky. The beef jerky is just really good in Lake Tomahawk. I must be hungry now. But let's talk about some real estate stats and trends. Now, it's becoming almost a little bit of a broken record. We've had this conversation several times. We know there's a lack of inventory in the real estate market across the board. And so when it comes to homes for sale, it's kind of slim pickings out there. Is that trend continuing? And be honest with you, since I can't see you, you can't see me, I'm just going to throw these out here. So any three of you that want to, chime in and answer here anytime, that'd be great. But let's start off with some stats and trends about real estate here right now.
Yeah, I know we've kind of been hammering this, for the last couple of months. And I guess I just wanted to, throw some real numbers out there because stats are, something that we look at every day. And sometimes you don't realize how extreme something is until you, start looking at the hard numbers. And we'll definitely put these out there on our Facebook page because I think they were an eye-opener for me. I do this every day, and I'm thinking, inventory is low. And but when you start looking at the numbers, this year compared to last year, January last year, we closed about 200 properties in January, and this year we closed 318. So what is unique about that is that, hey, we're low on listings, right? How could you close that many more properties in January? And I think it's just the timing of when, things went on the market. We have worked through every bit of inventory. I'm going to call it the day-old donut. It doesn't matter what it was last year, it sold. So we're down to just such a low inventory since I've, seen in probably, I would say maybe 12 years, me personally. So the closings are considerably up. New listings are down by 11% compared to last year. Our average list price is up by, 4%. Average sale price is up 7.5% from last year. And, the list to sell ratio is up, 3% from last year. And last year's numbers were good to begin with, and now it's just, we're just leveling it up another notch. And the average, days on market are down considerably. Our inventory is down month to month, 35%. So that's where we're just, we just look at these numbers and, our month supply of inventory is down over 50%. So just looking forward to spring, I've got quite a few accepted offers, and, we have, January was like so much busier than I was even this summer. It just was just a super active month, where normally that's not the case. We're not too many people are putting their properties on in January. And because we had, such a high demand, and, we're telling everybody, if you're going to list now, we actually have had some stuff come on the market, and of course it's gone instantly. So I attribute that to this little peak in January, which we normally don't have. So I'm excited to see what spring is going to bring. I think more and more people are going to start listing their properties because they're going to want to cash in, and we're just going to have way more inventory, especially going into May. A lot of people want to wait. They want to wait till the grass is green and everything looks pretty. And, even though we're telling people it doesn't much matter right now,
okay.
It's still going to snow whether it has snow on it or not. But
now, savvy investors especially know that where there are trends, there are usually opportunities. So with these trends that we're seeing here, with the trend being low inventory of existing homes, what opportunity does that create?
Well, for a seller, it creates a great opportunity because, like Jackie was saying on those stats, it's not going to be on the market very long, and it's selling very, very close to asking price, if not over. So that's the advantage to the seller right now. It's just, if it's out there, it's going to go.
So what do you tell people that are interested in it? Some people may be very satisfied with their home that they're living in at the present time. However, they see real estate as a good long-term investment. So as far as that goes, for people that aren't necessarily looking to move into a home, how about people that are interested in investing in real estate? How does the market look right now for those folks?
Yeah, I think because we've had this little, just rush, and there's a lot of people that had investment properties that are maybe older. I know there's probably been 3 city homes that went on this week, and then 1 multi-unit. And so that brings opportunity. I've already had people inquiring about, maybe purchasing those to use as rentals. The rental market right now is also very strained. I have 2 people relocating here that cannot find a home, and one actually had to turn the job down because they just couldn't move their family. And so they're gonna try to, the employer's gonna try to hold that job for them until hopefully the market releases a little bit in the next couple months and they can find something. But it's definitely a great opportunity to, maybe find a rental property. The rents are very, very high right now. So you can make your best money on anything that you would want to rent out.
And as far as with the lack of existing homes, that also creates an opportunity for people that have been sitting on a piece of land. One of the best investment pieces of advice my dad ever gave me, he says, invest in real estate because they don't make more new dirt. And for people that have been, sitting on property for a long time, sitting on this dirt thinking that, someday this is really going to be worth something, I would assume that today is probably that day.
Yeah, the vacant land, I would say, was the last thing to come back after the the recession of real estate, back in 2010. So vacant land was like the last thing to circle back. A lot of people spent a lot of money on, large tracts of land. And then the wolf population kind of put a damper on, people wanting to buy hunting land up here because, there was no deer. So we've kind of circled through that. I think, there's actually a wolf hunt going on right now.
Yeah.
I think that has helped, bring the deer population back. I can attribute to that because I've had several, run into my car this year.
Yeah.
The population deer have definitely, peaked back in the Northwoods, and I think we have more people, filtering back in the Northwoods just to have a place to get away. I listed a super cute log cabin in the middle of nowhere, no power, no septic, no well. I was overwhelmed with the amount of people that I had call off of that property. It was probably my most popular listing in the last 12 months. Was just a cabin with basically no amenities in the middle of nowhere. That's where people want to be right now. And I get that. And I think that's why the vacant land is so popular right now. People just want a little place to, run to the Northwoods and get away. And, it didn't matter that it didn't have, any power or any cell phone service anywhere near it. So I think that's kind of where this year is probably going to take us, to have that vacant land be way more interesting to buyers.
For people that are sitting on property right now and just waiting for the right moment to list it, like you said earlier, Jackie, people, a lot of them just want to wait until spring when the grass is green and everything, flowers are coming up, and you can show a property. It looks a little bit nicer than it might look right now. What are the number one things that people that are coming to you looking for properties, what are some of the big things that people are looking for? Now, if people are listening that have what people are really looking for, that may cause some folks to pick up the phone and call your office. So what are some of those things that are really in high demand with folks that are looking?
Yeah, I would say our most high demand right now is still waterfront property. Everybody's looking for the cabin under 200. I've had a couple of them that I had one that went on the market for 165. It was a trailer on a really nice lot on a pretty lake. And, I could have sold 10 of those, just like I could have sold 10 of those little cabins on 40 acres. And the one, thing that I can't stress enough, if you do have an interesting property, say it is a trailer and it has a bad well, it has a bad septic, or it's a cabin, that doesn't have a well or a septic, we do have lenders that will, lend on these type of properties. And the wonderful thing about this market is, if it was in a market where you're in competition with things that don't have issues, in the past you had a really, really hard time selling for a decent price. And now we have people fighting over your property, and they're taking it as is. They're waiving inspections, they're pulling cash out of their home in order to pay, cash for properties in order to compete with these other offers. That's something that we just don't see. I have one, a bad well, bad septic, and we're wrapping it into the closing, but people are just willing to take properties more as is than they have in the past. It's just that kind of market. In order for you to compete with your for a property, a lot of people are just just waiving all of that, and that just doesn't happen in a normal market. Most of the time you have in-home inspections, and the buyer wants a brand new house for the same price, and they want everything fixed, and we've definitely seen that go away in this market, and that's a big benefit for the seller. If you have a problem, I'm going to call it a problem property, it's always been a concern, and something that you could get away with not having to do a lot of updates to a property or stage it or, have to do some maybe deferred maintenance stuff. So if somebody does have a property like that, I would definitely, consider, putting it on the market now, and you're going to have to do way less work, and you don't have to, worry about getting your money back out of those repairs.
Sure. As we have these conversations in the market that we're in right now, I can't help but think that there are some people who are saying, well, yeah, I hear what they're saying out there, but I've been around a long time, and I just know that I've got some issues here with my place, and so I'm going to hang on to it. It's not any decisions you make now based on the way things were a year, 2 years, 5 years ago. You're probably missing out on the boat, right?
Yeah, I would say it's we say it over and over again, it's just the perfect time to sell. And I really think that sellers are going to recoup. I had somebody say, well, I'm just going to make all these repairs and then, sell it in, 6 months or a year. They're not quite sure, whether they want to put it on the market right now, because of some issues. Yeah, that's definitely, you could do those repairs and maybe not even get any more money for it in the future, depending on how the market drops. Or, I think the market's going to stay steady until something economic happens, right? And we don't have a crystal ball for that, and we don't know, sometimes I think, just gas prices alone could inhibit people from coming up because they can't afford to drive here. We take advantage of, we're already here, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to drive 4 hours and spend $200 in gas to get here. But, those are all things that affect our market. And I've seen it, when gas prices went up to $4 a gallon, it definitely affected people's ability to come up and enjoy the Northwoods and come up to their cabins. It just costs them that much more extra a month to be able to enjoy it.
Jackie Leonard,
we'll
Keith.
See how that impacts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jackie Leonard, Keith Hansey, Deonn Graber with us here this morning from Northwoods Community Realty. And one of the things we've been hearing about, you mentioned lenders, and we've got some fantastic local lenders around here who understand the area. So places that may say, look at a certain property and say, we're not going to touch that. The lenders up here are familiar with all those different kinds of properties, and they're here for us. Interest rates are starting to come back up. They're starting to tick back up. So that's something else to keep in mind here for folks that are in the market or looking to get into the market. Want to spend the rest of our time here, you three, with tips for buyers to separate themselves from other buyers in the market, because it's very competitive, so you have to stand out. And as a buyer, you need to stand out. So some of the things that buyers can do to separate themselves from anybody else and give them the upper hand on some of these negotiations.
Yeah, we have what buyers are doing, on the offers that we have, like multiple offers, is the escalation clause has been super active. On the little cabin that I had, we had 5 offers, and we had 3 of them use an escalation clause, which means that, hey, I'll pay $150, but if I really have to, I'd pay up to $175. But I don't want to pay $175 unless somebody else, had gotten to that level. So it was, in this case, it was something that the property went well over ask, but only because of this escalation clause. And you, as a buyer, you hate to miss out on a property over, $5,000. You'd be like, I would have paid an extra $5, but maybe I'm not going to pay an extra $10. So you can kind of put that magic number out there of where your cap would be without having to necessarily have to go up that high unless somebody else was willing to go that high. So the escalation clause has been a great tool for the seller and the buyer to be able to, play this a little bit of a bidding war without it being a multiple counter offer. Multiple counter offers are where you go back to the buyers and the seller can choose to go back at the same price, for everybody in a multiple counter offer, and then they get to pick who gets it. Or they can go back with, on one buyer, maybe you think, well, I think this buyer, has cash. Maybe they'd go a lot higher than somebody that, offered. And you just don't know as a buyer when they're coming back with that multiple counter offer, they're playing you. I'm going to put it that way.
Yeah.
And it makes buyers very uncomfortable because they don't, they don't want to get in the bidding war, right? And so that's where I think the escalation clause is. They have to prove that somebody actually came up that high. And it makes the buyer feel a little more comfortable that they didn't overpay versus the multiple counteroffer that, you just feel like, oh, I'm in a bidding war, and the seller could do $50,000 over, and I don't know whether they actually ever had an offer at that price. So that's been, a nice buyer tool that we've been using in this market to make people feel, everybody wants to feel like they, got a fair deal and didn't get, taken.
Right.
We want everybody to feel good at the end of the transaction. So that's a way that we've been doing that.
Is this something that a buyer needs to ask specifically for? Is this something that you're offering up as a real estate professional that this is the market we're in, you may want to consider this?
Yep, we definitely are suggesting it to buyers. And, I can't stress enough, I had somebody that was thinking about doing a for sale by owner. And I'm like, if you are not capitalizing on all the real estate agents, there's 400 real estate agents in our MLS plus, how many agents throughout the even southern MLS that are coming up here to show Northwoods properties because they're just that much in demand. If you are not taking advantage of this, I'm going to call it bidding war for your property, you are really losing out because, unless you know about these tools that we're using as a real estate agent to get the most for your property and to be able to handle these offers and get you the best price, you're just leaving money on the table because if you put it out there for sale by owner, and you might get one or two people that are interested, but how do you know that that's the most you could have gotten without putting it out there, to everybody? You're really missing an opportunity there. So I just want to mention that too. It's just super important to be able to facilitate, multiple offers and know you got the best price.
And as far as also buyers separating themselves from the other buyers out there, pre-approval has to be right at the top of that list as well.
Yeah, definitely. Pre-approval letter from a bank goes a long way. Or what we're seeing too with interest rates the way they are, people are getting pre-approved or they're choosing to offer cash and they're maybe taking out of 401ks or whatnot. Just to make that offer look more attractive. Because when you have multiple offers and sellers are looking at them, if some require finance, there's a chance that it may not go all the way through, but if they're paying with cash, less contingencies, it's more better to close so you don't have to really worry about it. So that gives sellers a little more peace of mind and you can typically close quicker. So there's a lot of different things that buyers can do to set themselves apart and make their offer look the best.
Once again, fantastic conversation with you three here this morning, and I always learn something. I hope our listeners do as well. So if somebody wants to start a real estate transaction with the professionals at Northwoods Community Realty, Jackie, what's the best way to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, they can reach out to us. We're right on the corner between McDonald's and the Super 8 if you want to stop in. Or you can give us a call, 715-453-2673, or check out our website. All of our listings are on there at northwoodscr.com.
Outstanding conversation this morning, you three. Thanks for being here with us, and enjoy the sunshine today, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks,
all right, thank you.
Jackie, Keith, and Deonn from Northwoods Community Realty on our Tuesday morning conversation.